Hello, welcome to my first YouTube video. Unfortunately, I have to do this as a voiceover because my iPad with the upgraded operating system won't allow me to capture audio now along with the video. Thanks a lot, Apple. So, this is a product review for the Frankford Arsenal Rotary Platinum Series Rotary Tumbler. It's a stainless steel medium kit. I got it from Grafs and Sons. They had it on sale for $189.99 with shipping, and that was couldn't beat that price. So when I ordered it Sunday evening, I got it Friday afternoon, and you see me unboxing it. And this is the outside of the box. Just spinning around and let you take a look at what the box looks like. So if you see it in a store or something, you recognize it. First thing you'll see when you open up the box are the instructions, which they're okay instructions. They're not all that detailed, but they pretty much tell you what you should know. And then you have the plastic graded end caps that you can drain the water out of the barrel with. And then you pull the barrel out, and the first thing you notice about the barrel is that it's heavy. And you wouldn't think it would be that heavy. It's made out of good plastic. I wouldn't call it industrial plastic, but it's a good commercial grade of plastic. And the reason it's so heavy is you see the viewport, and the viewport has a nice heavy rubber gasket for it. And the reason it's so heavy is they put the 5 pounds of stainless steel medium in the barrel there. So you want to be a little bit careful with that when you pull it out. It's not just empty. Like I said, it's a pretty good grade of plastic, but you really, if you dropped it on the floor empty, you would probably not hurt it. But if you were to drop it with it full of brass and water and stuff, you might do damage to it. So you really don't want to be carrying it around when it's full. The next thing you pull out is the package of brass cleaners, Frankfurt Arsenal brand brass cleaner sample they give you, and then the base that contains the motor that the barrel sits on. And that's everything in the box, and you can see the base there. And that's how the barrel sits on the base. And when you turn it by hand, you can actually hear the gearing. It's a geared base. It's not run off of belts or anything like that. The the base has got a steel base as you see there, but the body of the base is plastic. But it doesn't feel cheap because it's plastic. It feels like a fairly nice product. Now I have approximately 750 cases of 40 Smith& Wesson brass that have been vibrated clean once years ago and then resized and decapped. And they've been sitting in a Ziploc bag for 5 or 6 years, and they have some tarnish on them from age. So I put all 750 cases inside, and that filled it up almost almost halfway. And then the stainless steel medium, it's double Ziploc bag. So you have two Ziploc bags and just pour it in. You want to be careful with the stainless steel because the pins will get everywhere. Be very careful with them. It's almost like sand. Um, and then I have a gallon of water. You're supposed to fill the water up all the way to the base of the threads on the top port there. I filled it up to a little bit below that, and it took a gallon and a quarter with 750 rounds and 5 pounds of 750 cases and 5 pounds of the medium. And then per their instructions, I gave 4 bottle capfuls of the brass cleaner. They say that they only want you to use the Frankford Arsenal brass cleaner, or the warranty's void. I can't understand why you couldn't use the Lemmy Shine that uh, the Tumblers sends with their kits that you can get in Walmart. Uh, I don't know how they would ever know that you use Lemmy Shine versus what they sell. It's not going to hurt the rubber. So I got everything in there and tighten the caps up real good, and plugged it in. And got her going. As you can see, it moves pretty fast. And it's not too loud. Really, what's louder than the tumbling is just the gearing. The gearing's fairly loud, but really no louder than a vibrating tumbler would be. And I moved it down so it's sitting over top of the leg of the sawhorse to make it a little bit more stable while it's running. You see, I see there's some water there. They tell you to make sure that you wipe the threads off of water before you screw the end caps on, because if there's water on the threads when it's rotating, it will leak out of the threads, and that's exactly what happened here with me. And I went and got a towel and just wiped the water off the end cap in the table there. And basically, as soon as I did that, whatever water was in there had leaked out, and it didn't leak again. And I stopped it just to make sure I had the end caps tight. Wipe the excess water off. So turn it back on, set it on 3 hours. I really wish my recording on my iPad had worked, because I really wanted you to be able to hear it running so you can get an idea how loud it is. But you can look in the port, watch your brass going around. And you see the stainless steel media in there with the brass rolling around. You can't tell it yet, but you'll see when you get done that there's a lot of foam in there from the cleaner that they give you. You can start to see it foam up a little bit. And then here's the faceplate. You can see it's got a 3-hour timer up to 3 hours in half-hour increments. I'm sure somebody will find a way to bypass that and put a toggle switch on it so they can run it for 8 hours while they're sleeping. Um, but it's been running for 3 hours now, and I'm come back, and you can see it's pretty agitated in there. I turned the tumbler so it was, you can see my table's got a little bit of a slope. One sawhorse is higher than the other a little bit. With it sitting the other way with the long axis running down table, most of the pins had drifted to the downward side, so I turned it sideways so it'd be more flat. I also took a hand strainer. You can get it like at any grocery store for $4 or $5. Cut out the center, and then put it over the graded end to try to keep as much of the pins inside the drum as I could. I went ahead and tied it on to the grate with some little steel painted wire that you can get at Home Depot for like tying flowers up to sticks and stuff. So I put that over the graded end to try to keep the pins from actually leaving the barrel. So I take it out, and I wanted to open up this, pour it out from the same end I opened up to, not for any particular reason, just because that's how I am, I guess. So like I said, there's a lot of foam on there. You see me wiping the foam off. It's got good thick gasketing on that clear port. It makes for a good seal. Now I'm going to take my um, my graded end there with the strainer wire on it, and I'm just going to hold it on there by hand, even though the only thing that's touching the plastic part of the barrel is the little tie wire I had to tie the stuff on there. I don't want to screw it down and take the damage of damaging the rubber, and them possibly saying that was a warranty issue that had damaged the rubber. So I'm just holding it on there by hand. And you can see how dirty the water is. That's even with, I'm wiping the foam off to try to show you how dirty the water is, try to get you a better look at it. But that's just, and that had been cleaned once, a long time ago in the vibrating tumbler. Um, you can see how much dirt is, residue is left on the inside of the brass and inside the primer pockets that a vibrating tumbler just will not get out. I'm trying to get the foam down so you can just see how dirty it was. When you pour the water out, do not pour it into a water sink that's got a garbage disposal, because if those pins get down into the garbage disposal, it will jam it up and you'll be buying a new garbage disposal in short order. Hold your hand over where you're pouring it out, because you will catch a couple of pins. When I poured the water out, I held my hand over where it was pouring and caught maybe 20-25 pins. And now I'm pouring out the last quarter gallon. And I was just surprised that brass that was supposed to be clean was that dirty. And most of that's from the inside. Then I got my trusty RCBS media separator out, which is a great product. I don't care what you're tumbling with, you should have one of these things. It's great for separating either corncob or walnut or the stainless steel. Just pour it right into the basket. Make sure that the basket's locked and that the rear seam is hasn't come undone, and make sure that your rear joint is tight on the top, and then just start cranking. I like to give it at least 50 to 100 cranks to make sure I get the meaty out. I didn't do as many this time because I'm doing the video. I would normally crank for a couple minutes to make sure I get all the pins out. But this did pretty good. Every so often I'll just switch directions. Um, and just, like I said, after just a minute, that basically got all of the pins and brass separated. Now that's the dirty piece of brass. That's the one that hadn't been cleaned yet. And you'll get a better view of it here in a second. This is what's just been cleaned in the vibrating tumbler, or the rotary tumbler. You see how clean it is inside, how clean the primer pockets are. And then look at the one that's just been vibrated. You see all the crud inside the primer pocket, and just all the residue inside the case itself. And I mean, the stainless steel does an amazing job of just getting the brass looking brand new again. That's a 30 carbine cartridge that I reloaded last week. That case spent 8 hours in the vibrating tumbler to get it looking that clean. And the inside in the primer pocket didn't get that clean. As opposed to 3 hours for the stainless steel rotary tumbler. Here's a close-up of the barrel. You can see it's a nice thick plastic. And you can see the rubber lining. See, there's still some pins in there, stuck to the sides. Those pins get wet, they'll stick to stuff, and you don't want to lose the pins. And believe me, you don't want to step on one if it gets on the carpet, because they're so small it's almost like a needle. So now I'm going to go ahead and empty my pins back into the. This is a really nice product though, because I was looking at the SSM tumblers, and which is a variation on the Tumbler B, and I was looking at that one as well. They don't hold the weight that this holds, and I really like the cap screws on the ends where you can look in and see what's going on. You can take this, it's very easy to get those off. You don't have 8 thumb screws holding a steel plate on. You just unscrew the thing, and it's very easy to drain the water out, as you saw. One thing you do need, and I don't care what brand of tumbler you're using, if you're using stainless steel medium, get Frankford Armory's just got a magnet that's come out, or it's not available yet, or I would have bought it when I got the tumbler. But it looks like it's going to be a really good product. You need some type of magnet to get the pins, because picking up individual pins is very difficult, and you will get some loose. I mean, I got probably probably less than 100 loose, which might sound like a lot, but when you see how small these things are, saying you only let 100 get loose is not bad at all. Once you've separated the stainless steel from the brass good, you're gonna want to rinse off the brass because it will have some sud residue on there and everything, and dry the brass. You can let it air dry, or you can put it in the oven for an hour on 100 125 degrees, and bake the moisture off the brass, or use a hair dryer or something. But you want to go ahead and dry the brass out. I just rinsed them off, and I'm gonna pour them out onto the towel here. Um, but I really like this product because is very easy to use, very easy to handle, much more easier than it looked. The tumblers, um, Rotary Tumbler was with their arrangement. Um, Durability is the only question with this tumbler that, of course, I don't have an answer for. Um, for somebody like me who probably is only going to be shooting a couple thousand rounds a year, it'll probably last a long time. For those who are shooting that many a week, that's the question that remains to be seen. But this worked really nicely, and I was very happy with the results. I hope you enjoyed my review of the Frankford Arsenal Rotary Tumbler.